can withstand another 2 to 3 weeks. The strategically important city of Kramatorsk could withstand the Russian attack for a few more weeks, Mayor Goncharenko said in the Daily Topics. Russia is apparently planning an attack on Sloviansk. Russian plane detained in Sri Lanka. An Aeroflot airliner has been detained in Sri Lanka because of international sanctions against the foreign ministry, therefore summoned the ambassador of the island state in the Indian Ocean to Moscow. The Sri Lankan government should clarify the situation as soon as possible, the Russian side demanded. The Airbus A330 aircraft was supposed to bring Russian tourists back home, but was detained at Colombo Airport on Thursday until at least June 16. According to the information, the trigger was a court order at the request of an Irish leasing company that claims the aircraft. Ukrainian Army, Russia plans attack on Sloviansk. According to the Ukrainian General Staff, the Russian army is pulling together strong forces for an attack on the city of Sloviansk in the Don. The Ukrainian military spoke on Facebook of up to 20 Russian tactical battalion groups, BTG. These are combat units with armored infantry, artillery and anti-aircraft units, numbering 600 to 800 soldiers. Slowjansk is part of the eastern Ukrainian region of Donetsk, which Russia has pledged to conquer completely in the 100-day war. The city is also about 60 kilometers away in the back of Severodonetsk, which has been contested for days. The military information was initially not independently verifiable. In Severodonetsk, the Russian army continued to advance under cover of heavy artillery fire in the residential areas, but had only partial success. The report said the Russian side has announced that it has almost complete control of the city. On the other hand, the Ukrainian Regional Administration reported that the Ukrainian army had regained a fifth of the city with counterattacks. Ambassador, stolen grain sold to several countries. Grain stolen from Ukraine has been sold to several countries, according to the Ukrainian ambassador to Turkey. Wasil Bodnar told journalists in Ankara that Turkey was also one of the recipient countries of the stolen grain. His embassy is preparing criminal proceedings against individuals and companies involved in the sale of the goods. She will be supported by the international police agency Interpol. Anyone involved in the sale of stolen goods will be found and brought to justice, said the ambassador. Bodnar also warned that companies doing business with Russia would be banned from participating in future projects to rebuild Ukraine. Ukraine, recaptured part of Severodonetsk. Ukraine says it has recaptured about a fifth of the territory lost to the Russian army in the embattled city of Severodonetsk. This is what the head of the Luhansk region, Serhiy Gaidai, said on television. The information cannot be independently verified. Klitschko, Ukraine will win 100 days after the start of the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine. Kiev's Mayor Vitaly Klitschko has shown himself confident of victory. Russia is waging a barbaric war to annihilate Ukraine and Ukrainians, he said in a selfie video he posted on his Telegram channel. You can also hear air raids, which are repeated in the Ukrainian capital. 100 days of war full of bloody battles, casualties and deaths, said Klitschko. But it is also a time of courage and perseverance, said the former world boxing champion. We all stand and fight together. Everyone in their place. We admire our forces, he said. Ukraine will rid itself of the Russian barbarians. Yes, it will be difficult. But I believe that each of us will survive these trials with dignity. Because this is a war of evil and good. And kindness and justice will win. Still, Ukraine has become stronger and more successful, said the 50-year-old. That's why we're going to win. Biden does not want to make any specifications for Ukraine in negotiations, as President Joe Biden believes that a negotiated solution to end the war in Ukraine is necessary. According to his impression, this is what it must come down to at some point, said Biden in the U.S. state of Delaware. He cannot say what such an agreement will look like. However, the U.S. would continue to support Ukraine in defending itself. Asked whether Ukraine should give up territory in favor of Russia in order to achieve peace, Biden replied that the U.S. would not make any decision over Ukraine's. It's their territory, he said. I'm not going to tell them what to do and what not to do. Putin rejects responsibility for blocked grain exports. Russian President Vladimir Putin has rejected Moscow's responsibility for the shortage of grain on the world market. Russia is not preventing the export of wheat from Ukraine, he said on Russian television. Ukraine should remove the mines off its ports on the Black Sea coast. The Russian army will not use this for attacks, he promised. Russia can also make available the ports of Mariupol and Bryansk on the Sea of Azov, which it controls, Putin said. The easiest way to solve the problem is to export via Belarus. But for that you have to lift the sanctions against Belarus. Its President Alexander Lukashenko, an ally of Putin, also suggested this before. In fact, the Russian Navy is blocking the Ukrainian ports. The Kiev leadership does not trust Moscow's promises of safe passage of ships from Ukraine through the Black. Kramatorsk mayor can hold out for another 2 to 3 weeks. The Russian troops are still 40 kilometers away from Kramatorsk in the Donetsk region, said the mayor of the Ukrainian city, Alexander Goncharenko, in an interview with the Daily Theme. Without more heavy weapons, the Ukrainian army would be able to hold out for another 2 to 3 weeks. Most importantly, long-range artillery weapons were absent. But he assumes that help will arrive in the next few weeks. African Union optimistic after talks with Putin. The African Union, AU, and the United Nations, UN, have expressed optimism after talks on the looming global food crisis as a result of the Ukraine. We leave here very reassured and happy about our exchange, said AU President Macky Sall, who is also the president of Senegal, after meeting Russia's President Vladimir Putin. Sall said he felt Putin was engaged and is aware that the crisis and the sanctions are causing serious problems for economically weak countries like those in Africa. Putin is ready to allow the export of grain from Ukraine to Africa, and also to ensure the export of wheat and fertilizers. Putin himself made no statement after the meeting. Before the talks, he said Russia was always on Africa's side and very keen to strengthen cooperation. African countries get more than half of their grain imports from Ukraine and